As you can see, if you had the program, the little Alumni magazine, I made sure that I wore the same outfit so that y'all won't get me mixed up with JT or Reverend Blake. So I just wanted to make sure y'all wouldn't get me confused. I am thrilled to death to be here this evening. In fact, I'm overwhelmed. I'm tickled. I have no more butterflies because this amazes me. That to be selected for such an honor after still riding the waves of an evening event yesterday. I see people here now that was at the event that we participated in yesterday. And Julia mentioned I have 3 degrees, 2 of which I cannot find. Southwestern I know is somewhere in the house. Butler, I don't know where it is. But I do know that the Kansas Newman, let me correct that. The Newman University diploma is framed in my basement for the whole world to see. And I had a great deal of discipline during 25 years in the military, but Newman was no joke. Newman was no joke. I did the accelerated program, and I was working at the prison at the time. And I was teaching all murderers, as she mentioned, and I'm standing there, and the guy says, you know, Mr. Cole, I didn't mean to kill that guy at the 7-Eleven, but I asked him not to move, and he moved, and I shot him anyway, and I said, I don't care who you killed, that's not how you dice onions. Would you please pay attention? And I came home, and I told my wife, I said, I need to go back to school. I need to go get a degree. So I searched all of the schools in Wichita and looked and saw that Newman would be my best fit. And so I elected to go to Newman. I wrote a very short speech, intentionally, because I wanted to give everyone an idea as to how blessed I have been over the course of my life. I have no living friends in Baltimore anymore. All of my friends are dead and gone. And they started dying off at an early age. I left the war and joined the Army. Coming out of the projects. And I saw my uncle walk in at, I was 18 years old, Julie, I'm sorry. I was 18 years old, and he walked in from Vietnam, and I looked at him and said, you have got to be kidding me. That is a sharp-looking person right there. And I dropped out of high school thinking I was going to go to Vietnam, and instead of Vietnam, they sent me to Korea. And I said, I'm glad of that now that I think about it. And at the time, the Vietnam War had just come to an end. But before I get my brief little speech, and I wrote it so short intentionally, that I wanted to acknowledge those who took the time out of their busy schedules to be with me this evening. I am overwhelmed once again. Last week week before last, marked my 23rd year here in Wichita. I drove into Kansas, now mind you now, from the projects of Baltimore. I've been around the world, yes, but I drove across 76 is I-76 and got on 135 coming into Wichita. And the first, and mind you now, I'm a city boy. I'm a big afro and beard. And I drove on to 135, and as I'm coming down the road, I see all of these sunflowers. I see cows. I saw a cow on television once. But I saw cows, and I saw this big grass, and I said, what have I done? And water started running down my eyes. I said, I made a terrible choice. But the Army only gave me 2 choices. They said, you can either go to Guam, or you can go to Wichita, Kansas. I've owned 12 cars in my life, or 13 rather, and 11 of those have been Mustangs. And I just bought a brand new Mustang 5.0. The island of Guam is only 11 miles long and 7 miles wide. I could see myself running into the ocean. I said, I can't do that. I'm going to do Wichita. Didn't spell it. But I said, I'm going to do Wichita. It is the absolute best choice that I could have ever made in my life, because I married the first woman I met in Wichita. I was introduced by her sister at WSU. I arrived on the weekend, packed up all of my stuff, everything, went over to WSU because I lived right down the street. I said, I'm going to see. I walked into the office. The counselor, which is Carla Eccles, and y'all may know her as the radio personality of KMEW 89.1. But she said, she looked at me and I was in full regalia, in uniform. And she said, do you go to church? So I lied and said, I said, yes. She said, well, come to my church on Sunday. My sister will be there. And my husband will be there. I said, okay, then fine. I went to her church, met her sister. We've been together ever since. 22 years we are about to celebrate. I say I'm blessed because of the people that God has surrounded me with. My wife, she's lovely, and she is my loving wife, and also the people that God has placed in my life have been more of a motivating factor for me and inspired me to do things, and God has put me around such good people. My wife is the 2011 Excellence in Public Service Award winner from DeVore Foundation. My son, Rainier Palmer, and my mother and father wanted to be here this evening. They couldn't make it. It took us forever to convince my mother to get on a plane. 20 plus years. Mama, get on a plane. No, I'm not doing it. So we finally convinced her. I said, Mama, this is big. This is like the Oscars. And she said, I'll do it. So she finally got on a plane, got to Atlanta, and the snowstorm hit Wichita. Her and my father. And so they were stuck at the airport. My mother was so nervous. She said, you know what, just send me back home. Turn her back around, because she was in the airport ever since 5 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So they turned back and went back to Baltimore. So they couldn't be with me this evening. But I do have a host of others that are here. My mother-in-law, my wife's mother is my roadie. That's one of my closest person that I'm really close to. She's home sick right now too. She had a cold. So she couldn't be here, but my son is here, Rainier. That's my go-to person. That is my go-to person. My father, had he been here, we call him Pops. He's been with my mother for 40 years. He's not my father, but he's never called us stepchildren. So that is my son. So that is he's a K-State graduate, owner of Fundamental Fitness. He's an entrepreneur. He has one of the best gyms in the city of Wichita. And this is just the people that God has surrounded me with. Sister Carla Echols, radio personality, just became an American legend for the Sunflower chapter of Gospel Music Workshop. My brother-in-law, whom I treat as a brother, Reuben Echols, he's in the Hall of Fame for Wichita State University. He is in the Hall of Fame for the state of Kansas, for the city of Wichita, for Southeast High School. I'm just going to start calling him Fob, because he's in every Hall of Fame that I can have ever heard of. But this is who God has put me around. My friend, Carol Riley. This is the first African-American female to be a franchisee of the Pizza Hut company. And before that, owned all the McDonald's in Harlem. Just changed the structure of McDonald's in Harlem. I told my wife, I said, I'm graduating. She said, so is Boo. We call her Boo. She says, so is Boo. And I said, okay. She said, we're all going to Boo's graduation. I said, really? She said, yes. Let me make a long story short. I'm going to my own graduation in El Dorado, alone. All of them are in D.C. I get up and I said, you know what, be proud, Gregory, you did this on your own. Packed house. I get up and I'm coming across the stage, and they say, and they're announcing it in alphabetical order. And they say, Greg Cole. And someone said, I walked off that stage and said, you have got to be kidding me. I was so depressed. So I went to the reception and I grabbed a piece of cake and I went in the corner and I started eating my cake. I said, you know what, I'm going to call them. So I called my wife on the phone and I says, hey baby. And she said, hey, yeah, what do you want? I said, what's going on? She said, look, I can't talk right now. Colin Powell is speaking at this ceremony. I gotta go. my mother. Now I'm really depressed. I called my mother and I said, Mom, what you do? She said, hold on, baby. Your brother, now my brother, she said, your brother is on the other end. He's at Boo's graduation right now listening to Colin Powell. I gotta go, baby. At that same time, this little old woman walks over to me. She's about 80-something years old with another saucer in her hand and says, would you like another piece of cake, baby? I said, man, I want to say, man, get out of my face. I was so upset. And I said, wow, what a thunder stealer. And I was so mad. The reason why I was so mad is because I couldn't be at your graduation. And I knew everybody was having such a ball. So that kind of prompted me to go back to school again, too. So I went back, and then I had a captive audience. So this is my captive audience moment. I do have others with me, my goddaughter, Rhea, and my pastors, two pastors, my brother Ruben Eccles and Dr. Wolford. I have my niece and nephew, smartest young talent on the planet. I have Angela and Tony Bryan. I have, if I forget anybody, Vicki Bell Lewis, one of the best nurses in the city. Yeah. So and then I have friends here too that work at Newman. Audrey Hay, good to see you. Audrey and I walked in Flint Hills at 5:30 to watch a sunrise. Isn't that something? Another great mind that has helped me tremendously. Rosemary Neaton, great mind. So I love the people here at Newman. Love this school. It's a great institution. So I am honored to be here this evening. And then I'm so happy to have chosen Newman University, an institution that once again has been named to the President's Highest Education Community Service Honor Roll. So we all should be proud. Let me first say thank you again to Julia for taking time out of her busy schedule to come down from Matfield Green in the beautiful Flint Hills. That truly means a lot to me. It means the world to me. I'm so truly blessed to be standing here before you to receive this award, for I am certain that there were others who were equally qualified to be here. This is not only a humbling experience for me, but one I'll cherish for the rest of my life. Another thing, I've been all day just waiting and watching the score for Newman, the boys basketball team. And let me tell you this, I see why they do not choose coaches of the year by state, because it will never go to the biggest institution. We are fortunate because Coach Potter has us ranked in the nation. He also has us just #2 in our conference. And so I just want you to know, Coach Potter, we use your name around my house too now. So I'm good, I'm happy for you. And I'm happy to be in the same company with you this evening. So certainly a thrill. But the need of having a thankful heart is addressed both in the Old and New Testaments. In Psalms 100, we are admonished to be thankful. In the Colossian epistle, Paul again exhorts, be thankful. A thankful heart is a humble heart. There is no complaining that I deserve more than I have. There is no grumbling against the providences which cannot be understood. There is gratitude for every blessing received. There is acknowledgement made, as was spoken by the patriarch Jacob in the book of Genesis. I am not worthy of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast shown unto thy servant. How gracious is the Lord, to have bestowed his saving mercy on us as unworthy sinners. What a privilege to be able to offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. That is the fruit of our lips giving thanks to his name. May we enter his presence this day with praise and thanksgiving. All of the people who showed up for this event on my behalf share a special place in my heart. I've been given a tremendous gift by God. A gift that not only helps shape me as a leader, but one that helps to shape the future of others. That gift is the gift of teaching. I served in the Army for 25 years and afterwards began working in a prison. I went on from a regimented society to an institutional environment that required great adjustment in terms of my interpersonal communication skills. Because all my students were in for murder, I knew I could not get away with barking out orders unless I wanted to be another statistic. It became apparent to me that I needed additional training in the field of education because the average reading level was the 5th grade. I looked at almost every program in the state and decided that Newman University would be the best choice for me. Newman University provided me with the foundation I needed to communicate and educate effectively in any arena. The courses I took, the professors I had were engaging, they were knowledgeable, and they were most certainly professional. Newman helped me realize that assisting others in developing untapped skills and creating a good learning environment was something I could do with passion and commitment. In fact, I was so inspired by what I had learned here that I later went back to school to get a master's degree in leadership. It's been almost 10 years since I left the prison. I've since started teaching adult Sunday school at my church for the past 8 and 9 years. I can count the number of days that I've missed teaching Sunday school on one hand. It makes me feel good to know that one person can make a difference in another person's life if they're willing to take the charge. I cannot say that life has been a bed of roses for me, both as an adult and a child. I've never experienced perfection. I've lived a life of ups and downs, but I've come to realize that we all make mistakes, have struggles, and even regret things in our past. But you are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles, and you are here now with the power to shape your day and your future. We should all begin the process of living clear. And what that clear means is Christians living every area right if we are to make a difference in this challenging world we live in. I chose the name Good Life Company for my company, and Little Bits for the name of my cookies, because I truly believe that if we are living our lives clear, we will experience the good life a little bit at a time. Because God has his eyes on each of us at all times. I tell people it's like having a camera on, watching what you do at all times. So put on your best Oscar-winning performance each day of your life. This award proves that the advice I share has its merits. My strength and faith comes from God. My values and beliefs are shaped by my family and my friends, whom I love dearly and I know loves me. Not just my cooking and laughter, but for who I am as a human being. I applaud Newman University for allowing a great leader like Sarah Condon and her team to lead this great program and for creating such an award as the one you so graciously presented to me this evening. My moment in the spotlight has come to an end, and I would like to say thank you to each of you for being a part of my life. May God continue to bless you, bless all of you, and keep living the good life a little bit at a time.